situation is really getting loud.
Coming up, an EF1 tornado in Franklin County left behind quite a mess, you see, for homeowners. How the community is coming together to help their neighbors in need.
And the city of Fayetteville is making major safety improvements along East Joyce Boulevard. Coming up, I'll share what they are and when they're expected to begin. Your 5 News This Morning starts now.
Well, thanks for waking up with us and tuning in here, streaming live on the 5 News Plus Smart TV app. We'll get your day started right for you. First things first, the weather. We're hoping to get out the door with some good weather in hand.
Yeah, and especially this time of year, you kind of have to pick your battles because it's not going to be perfect, right? And for this morning, especially after what we saw yesterday, we'll take it even if it is a little cloudy and a little bit muggy. You're seeing as you're walking out the door, pretty cloudy conditions, but as I mentioned, at least it's quiet. After yesterday, that was quite the active morning. But now we're seeing some pretty typical low temperatures, the mid to upper 60s in northwest Arkansas, 70 there in Fayetteville, lower to mid 70s in the River Valley. So slightly mild, slightly muggy, and unfortunately it is going to remain pretty muggy through today. With the cloud cover expected to hang around, I do expect that we won't see much of any warming, at least a little bit less warming than expected, because that sun is going to be hard to come by. Now, there are a few spotty showers just off to our west and southwest and southeast Oklahoma. Some of that could trickle into the River Valley, especially south of I-40 later today, but really not expecting too much coverage just because that rain chance and the boundary to create those rain chances is staying off to the west. Dew points this morning, really not too bad. Now, it is still muggy, don't get me wrong, but after the mid-70s we've been seeing recently, we'll take a morning in the mid to upper 60s and little 70s there in the Wachitas, but we are going to see that dew point back on the rise later today. Now, with that rain from yesterday, slightly muggy conditions, there could be some patchy fog in areas. 6-mile visibility there in Siloam Springs, so not too bad. We're not seeing too much of an issue out there, but in any low-lying areas or near a body of water, just be mindful we could see some of that fog for, let's say, the next hour or so. Otherwise, for today, I think we'll keep that cloud cover for much of the morning, really much of the day. A few spotty storms are possible in northwest Arkansas, especially, I think, later this evening into the overnight hours. Otherwise, temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. Some I do think could approach the low 80s, especially in Fayetteville and central Washington County. Otherwise, though, again, a little bit below normal for the temperatures, but the humidity will keep things a little bit sticky. For the River Valley, and those spotty storm chances are possible through the morning and early afternoon. A little bit of a better chance of storms during the late evening late afternoon into the evening hours. Temperatures with a little bit of sunshine maybe at times hits the low to mid 80s. Winds remain light for today, only about 5 to 10, but it's going to be out of the southeast. And what that's going to do is continue to feed a little bit of energy, and when it interacts with that boundary that's just off to our west, is going to lead to some storm chances, not only for today, but really for much of the rest of this week, especially for tomorrow. And with plenty of moisture to work with, unfortunately, we're going to probably see some heavy rainfall at times, and that humidity is not going away anytime soon, especially for this weekend. While we do dry out, the humidity sticks around, and it's going to feel, well, truly like summer. So we'll talk about that humid timeline as well as when those storm chances are expected coming up in your full forecast. For now, I'll give you a live look at traffic on this Tuesday morning. Take a live look along I-49 at the Don Tyson exit 70 in Springdale. You can see a little bit of some maybe fog, but a lot of it's elevated just because this camera's pretty high up. So I'm not expecting much at the surface, but just be mindful later today. Could see that spotty storm chance. And we'll have your full forecast coming up in about 10 minutes. Joe.
All right, thanks for that. Well, we're getting a good look at the damage left behind by a confirmed tornado across Franklin County. Sky 5 footage shows the storm's aftermath near Ozark and neighboring towns. Thankfully, no injuries have been reported for the EF1. The winds measured between 95 and 105 miles an hour. At Paxton Orchard in Ozark, part of the barn there, the roof was ripped away by strong winds, leaving a large hole in the structure. The tornado also damaged trees across the property.
When you do get some peaches, you cherish them. When you lose a tree, then it's kind of like, that's one of my babies.
Well, the storm comes on top of a spring freeze that had already reduced this year's peach crop. Well, Lions International is assisting local homeowners amid the damage here, donating essential supplies. Organizers say it allows families to focus on recovery.
I've been in charge of this trailer for the last 4 years, and there is nothing like going into a community that needs help and to see the faces on the people that receive that help. It kind of tugs on your heart quite a bit.
Well, Lions International says its supply trailer will remain available until the community's needs are met. New this morning, Fayetteville proposing a multi-phase project aimed at reducing traffic and improving safety for drivers and pedestrians along Joyce Boulevard. 5 News reporter Claire Everbach joins us now with more. Good morning.
Good morning, Joe. Excuse me. That car distracted me. How rude of them to be so loud during our live shot. Good morning, Joe. Well, this morning we're talking about the 2.2-mile stretch of East Joyce Boulevard that's between North Crossover Road and North Steele Boulevard. This has been reported by the city as a high injury network corridor. Nearly 600 crashes happened between 2018 and 2022, and now the city is taking steps to improve the entire road, particularly intersections near North Crossover Road and Old Missouri Road, as well as College Avenue. You're seeing right now, the city of Fayetteville gave us a map showing us the plans for this proposed project. It's a multi-phase project. Things like roundabouts could replace traditional traffic signals at intersections, including Vantage Drive and Old Missouri Road, with the goal of reducing high-speed crashes and improving traffic flow. Additional sidewalks, crosswalks, and raised medians are also part of the proposed plan. City leaders say this section of Joyce Boulevard is the first phase. The current design of Joyce Boulevard contributes to a number of safety concerns, particularly when drivers are trying to turn on or off the road.
It's a 4-lane road with relatively high speed, so we have a lot of rear-end accidents when people are trying to get off of the road, turn left, and also incidents where people are trying to access the road and are getting having incidents there. So what we're trying to do is improve on the safety of the roadways.
Construction of Phase 1 is expected to begin next year. City leaders say they're still working to look for funding for the other phases, which are expected to take place sometime after 2027. Live in Fayetteville, covering news where you live, Claire Everbach, 5 News.
All right, thanks for that, Claire. It is 7:07. Leaders in Van Buren, they're approving $2 million to replace some water lines under Main Street. They say that the bonds will be used to replace around 2,000 feet of aging infrastructure that's more than 70 years old.
The current lines down there were installed between 1893 and 1955, so the benefit will be improved flow and connecting other sections for improved flow throughout the city.
Well, the utilities director says water and sewer rates will not be impacted, and they'll work with residents on any traffic disruptions.
Well, spending time outside, it is humid, but yeah, those allergies are still fairly bad. Now, the mold from last week actually went from very high to high, so taking any little victory we can get. But again, take those allergy meds like you usually might have to, especially if you're susceptible to mold and grass. We'll talk more about how the rest of this week could be stormy at times, then especially hot for the weekend. Your full forecast.
And in the Daily Brew, using tech to save the day. Now, a drone snatched a knife from a suspect all during a standoff. It's 7:08. We'll be right back.
5 News This Morning is sponsored by Indigo Sky Casino, Jerry Neal's Barbecue, and Tucker's Furniture.
Mad Money Mania, Friday 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Play for your chance to win up to $10,000 cash at your premier gaming destination, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. All month long, play for your chance to win over $1 million in total cash and gold rewards prizes. Enjoy chef-created entrees at Shaw & O Steak and Spirits Fine Dining, ice-cold adult beverages and live weekend entertainment, and luxurious hotel suites. Experience the Indigo difference. Highway 60 west of Seneca, Missouri. IndigoSkyCasino.com for details.
Jerry Neal's Barbecue has been a Fort Smith favorite since 1977, and now we've made it faster, easier, and more rewarding when you download the Jerry Neal's app and order ahead in just a few taps. From slow smoked ribs to fresh catfish and all your favorite sides, your next meal is ready when you are. Plus, earn rewards points and unlock exclusive app-only offers and special deals. Skip the line, earn rewards toward free food, and get great barbecue. Download the Jerry Neal's app today.
Tucker's Appliance in Springdale is your appliance superstore. If you want appliances, we've got them. Sleek, modern appliances from top brands you know. You want scratch and dents? They're back. You want refrigerators and ranges? We've got them. You want dishwashers? We've got them. You want washers washers and dryers. We've got them. And if you don't mind a few scratches here or a few dents there, you can save a whole lot. Tucker's, your appliance superstore in Springdale. When it's appliance time, it's Tucker time.
Well, it is 7:10. Welcome back. A new study suggests that parents who are often distracted by their phones may be hurting their relationship with their teens. Researchers surveyed more than 600 teenagers between the ages of 12 and 17. Those who said their caregivers were frequently distracted by their phones during family interactions were less likely to feel that they could rely on those adults for support. They also reported feeling less secure in their relationships. That study is from Frontiers in Psychology. And California is moving closer to new restrictions on social media use by teens. A bill making its way through the state Senate would require platforms to limit features like endless scrolling and push notifications for users under 16. Supporters say the changes could help protect young people online, while opponents argue the proposal could raise privacy and free speech concerns.
1709 cuts off access to lawful speech for millions of Californian teenagers, while also forcing all users, that's adults and young people alike, to verify their ages before speaking or accessing information on social media.
Well, this comes about 2 weeks after the UK announced a total ban on social media for all children under age 16. The state of Arkansas has joined in on the lawsuit against popular kids game Roblox and social media messaging app Discord. Regulators allege that the duo has become a, quote, predator's playground, but the apps say they've taken steps to keep kids safe. Reporter Tanya Moderzitsky shares more.
For millions of kids, Roblox is a place to play, and Discord is where they connect with friends. But Arkansas officials and Alexandra Walsh, who represents a law firm behind the civil suit, say behind those screens are dangers many parents never see.
Roblox has known that, in fact, this is a playground for predators, that it is an easy way for really dangerous people to get access to our kids.
Now the state is suing both companies, accusing Roblox and Discord of creating environments where kids can be exposed to predators, explicit material, and harmful online interactions.
Roblox calls itself the #1 gaming site for kids and teens, and it assures parents that it takes every precaution possible to protect children. That's false.
Attorney General Tim Griffin says the lawsuit focuses on protecting kids and holding companies accountable for the promises they make to parents.
They have had every opportunity to change it, to stop it, to do something about it, and they have refused to do that. Why? Because they're making a lot of money.
The complaint also alleges the companies marketed their platforms as safe for minors while failing to provide adequate safeguards and warnings.
Roblox quietly reports to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children thousands of reports of inappropriate, dangerous, predatory behavior.
Walsh, a partner at the law firm, Anna-Paul Wise, says parents need to be careful when letting their kids play online.
That's a decision each parent has to make for themselves, but you need to educate yourselves and don't just listen to what Roblox and its executives have to say about the safety.
Some were taken to military camps where they went through very aggressive militarization.
Coming up here on 5 News Plus, we'll have a look inside of an underground railroad used to rescue thousands of Ukrainian children abducted by Russian forces, all during the ongoing war. How a volunteer group risked everything to bring them home. You can watch that story. It's coming up at 7:30, streaming right here on 5 News Plus. All right, let's take a live look in Fort Smith. 7:14. Danny, a little bit cloudy out there this morning.
Yeah, cloudy, but a lot quieter, and we'll take that quiet if it comes with just some cloud cover. And we'll see that cloud cover, I think, for much of the day today, including in this morning along I-540 at the Arkansas-Oklahoma border. And again, that is going to keep temperatures a little bit cooler than normal. We'll see temperatures probably in the low 80s across much of the region, some upper 70s in northwest Arkansas, but it is going to remain muggy. Now, as I mentioned, yesterday was a very active day, and the National Weather Service again did confirm the details of the Ozark tornado. It started on the west end of town at about 6:16 a.m., did some damage there along kind of the woodland area there on the west end of town near Highway 64, crossed over Highway 64, a little bit to the northeast actually, then dipped southeast, did some damage there, went across the river on the south end of town, and it dissipated at about 6:24 a.m. just north there of Webb City. It was on the ground for about 3.3 miles, had a max width of about 400 yards, again about 4 football fields, and thankfully no injuries were reported. But again, as we saw yesterday, plenty of damage to trees, power lines, and even some buildings. So thankfully for right now, things are very quiet. Temperatures a little on the warm side, but pretty typical. Mid to upper 60s in northwest Arkansas, 70 there in Fayetteville, low to mid 70s in the River Valley with quite a bit of cloud cover. You see a little bit of those showers off to our southwest. A lot of that is kind of riding along this boundary. And you see some of these storms have some severe warnings on them. And that's as we go through the rest of this week. Some of these storms could be on the stronger side with some gusty winds, especially, as well as some heavy rain. Now, that activity is staying to the west, but you notice how it's kind of originating here off the eastern Rockies. That's going to continue to be the case as this warm front continues to lift northeast, and some energy aloft is kind of fueling these storms. So the jet stream is just to our north. And whenever we're kind of in northwest flow, you kind of get these storms that, again, this air kind of rushes off the Rockies and then gets sent our direction. And that interacts with the pattern, or excuse me, with the front at the surface. And as it does, you can kind of see these storms kind of generate and continue to see rounds and rounds of storms. And this is when usually during the summer you get those heavy rainers like we saw yesterday, and maybe some stronger storms at times. Eventually, this jet stream is going to lift north, and we are going to dry out but also warm up. You can see that heat building in the southwest, and that's going to head our direction. Combine that with the fact that at the surface there's plenty of moisture. Yeah, it's going to be pretty muggy. Dew points right now in the upper 60s, but we're going to see mid-70s during the afternoon hours for much of the rest of this week, even as we dry out. So it's not like when the rain leaves, the moisture's going to leave, because we need like a massive cold front, a massive pool of cold air to arrive. And that's just not going to happen. In fact, the opposite is going to happen. That heat, as you saw, is going to build from the southwest. So we'll show you what that looks like on Futurecast for storms. With these storms that build in from the northwest, they can be a little bit tricky to exactly pin down the timeline. But we'll kind of give you a rough idea of the pattern. So most of that activity this morning, I think, stays to the southwest. Can't rule out, though, a spotty storm in the River Valley. Later today, though, during the afternoon, early evening, a few isolated storms are possible, especially for the River Valley. Some, though, in northwest Arkansas as well. Then later tonight into early tomorrow, some on and off chances of some storms roll in. And then as we head into tomorrow morning into the afternoon, I think we could see more chances storms evolve. And some of these could have some heavy rainfall and, again, maybe some gusty winds. That continues to track through the morning into the early afternoon. I think by the late afternoon, early evening, kind of more some spotty activity. Then we'll see that taper off as we get into Wednesday night. I expect this pattern to continue into Thursday and Friday, mainly, though, it looks like for northwest Arkansas, with that jet stream moving farther north and the boundary moving farther north after Wednesday. That's going to keep most of those storms for our northern counties, but can't rule it out for the River Valley either. Then for Saturday, very spotty activity starts to dry out. Then for Sunday and Monday, we really dry out, but as you saw, we're really going to warm up as well. So as we get into later this week, we're going to build in that warmth, not only during the day, but at night as well. Look at those low temperatures, building from the upper 60s here over the next few nights into the low 70s on Friday, mid 70s on Saturday and Sunday, and upper 70s on Monday morning. So that humidity is going to keep things very warm, and so we're not going to see much relief, not only during the day, but overnight as well. And you put a high of about 90, dew point of about 75, that puts that heat index at about 100, and for the River Valley, high of about 94, 95, heat index probably around 105, maybe to 110. So yes, it is going to dry out and become quieter, but this is when that hot and humid June air starts to fill in as we head towards the start of July.
Well, welcome to today's Daily Brew. Now, we all know that a lot of police agencies, they've moved towards using drones, right, in their investigations, within their work. Well, this drone in Sacramento, California, it actually disarmed a suspect. This guy right here, officer, he's in the car. He's remotely flying this. Well, check it out. It actually swipes a knife, like magnetically, right out of a suspect's hand. You see it sort of like getting a lay of the land there, and then it goes into the house there. They were attempting to arrest a wanted parolee. He was inside a home. The SWAT team had responded, and it looks like he may be like asleep or something, and it grabs the knife. There it is. Shoop, and takes it, and then it takes it out to police. So, you know what? That just makes things a lot safer for them.
Look at it do tricks with the knife afterwards. It's like, hey, I just got this from you. I mean, this is very cool. I mean, Anyway, there's always like a bad side of like some technology like this, but for this, like again, like they didn't have to go in, maybe potentially harm themselves or the suspect inside, because unfortunately those things can get deadly. So that's very interesting, and again, as technology evolves, so will ways to kind of disarm people, and that's one way to do it.
That is one way to do it right there. I love it whenever it doesn't put them in harm's way. So. All right, a police SWAT situation in Arizona. It took a bit of a weird turn when a DoorDash delivery robot rolled right up to the op and reportedly refused to leave.
Oh, come on now, robot.
Oh, no. KPNX reports that the robot named Dot, he refused the commands to scram. Chandler officers there dealing with a weapons-related incident at the time. It had to be removed by a technician from DoorDash. What are we doing? Try to get involved in police business here?
Clearly, these robots aren't too smart quite yet. We still have some time before they take over, but we've seen this from numerous occasions, not necessarily this example, but like the Waymos driving into flooded waters in construction. We've seen some cars that, again, like maybe there's like a newer area, and even like Google Maps, like there's a newer area and it doesn't realize the street's either not there anymore or is there.
Yeah.
And it takes you to places. So yeah, I can't quite rely on technology yet, but come on. I mean, to be honest, it's kind of funny. Like,
well, when you say take over, what do you mean by that?
Oh, Joe, you know what I mean. I've watched too many movies.
Like global domination takeover?
Look, have we not seen The Terminator? So like, I'm just saying. I've seen that and iRobot. I don't want any more of this. It's getting scary, Joe. We're using AI more and more each and every day for stuff that, like, even just conversation, it's getting a little scary.
Like they'll be putting us, like locking us up and taking, what would they do though? If they took over the world, what are they doing with it?
I don't know, making their own world, and then eventually they'll have their own enemy. I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't thought that
out there.
I haven't thought that far yet.
Okay, you just know it's going to happen,
I
or
feel
could
like
happen.
It could happen. We've already seen, like, we saw that robot kick that poor kid the other day.
I shouldn't laugh because that hurt the kid, but it was kind of funny.
I mean, it was kind of funny, but yeah, like, he didn't mean to do it, but what if he gets, like, sentient feelings and was like, yeah, actually, you chirped me the other day, so.
So he goes around just kicking all kinds of kids or something?
And that was a small robot. Imagine you get, like, a 7-foot one, like a Shaq-sized robot. I'm not taking that down.
Yeah, that thing could, like, hurt someone. All right, take a look at the fastest full-size Lego car ever. It's according to Lego and car maker Koenigsegg, which constructed a life-size version of their car. Is it the Sedan Spear?
That sounds right.
Yeah, it's a replica, which took over, get this, 9,400 hours to craft. Almost 400,000 Lego elements inside there. It has 1,600 horsepower, which is great, and it can hit speeds of over 220 miles per hour. Oh, a normal car can. Yeah, so the Lego version achieved a mere 69 miles per hour.
That's still pretty fast, though.
Yeah, but it wasn't enough to double the previous Lego tech speed achievement. So I think I would want to drive it if you could.
What do you think the instruction manual looked like if you wanted to build that yourself?
Something that I probably couldn't comprehend.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily even a dissertation. I mean, that thing would probably be a scroll that would go from here probably to the river valley.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Because, I mean, all the pieces, but don't you, maybe the pieces are a little bit bigger.
I'd hope so, but what was it, 327,000 you said?
Oh, yeah, almost 400,000. That's a lot.
Yeah, I get mad over 1,000 piece sets of Legos. I would get mad over hundreds of thousands of piece sets.
It would take me years upon years.
I was gonna say, and if I'm missing a piece, I could never finish it.
Oh no, you just give up, walk away?
I've had PTSD from so many Lego sets missing one piece, Joe.
Oh goodness. All right, stay with us. More coming up after this.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. I'm 5 News meteorologist Andy Cassidy. A much quieter morning this morning, obviously, compared to yesterday. And thankfully for later today, we are expecting some storms, but not nearly the coverage like we saw yesterday. But we are going to be in a little bit of a stormy pattern for today through about at least Friday, but I think we do dry out by the weekend. So we'll show you what that looks like on Futurecast. This morning, very spotty activity just off to our west. There's a warm front that these storms are kind of interacting with, but that warm front's well to the southwest in parts of western Oklahoma and parts of western Kansas. So I think for the most part, that'll stay dry for us. But later today, that warm front will approach and some isolated storms could enter our region, especially in the River Valley. A better chance then comes later tonight. We'll see kind of more hit or miss storms there with some heavy rainfall. But the best chance, I think, for really the rest of this week's going to come for tomorrow, starting in the morning into the early afternoon. And as that moves through, we could maybe see some heavy rainfall and gusty winds at times out of this. So something to note there. As we continue into later Wednesday evening, things start to quiet down a little bit, but maybe more isolated activity as we head into our Wednesday night. And that rain chance is going to continue for us over the next really 4 or 5 days or so. Thursday and Friday will be, I think, mainly for northwest Arkansas. Then for Saturday, it starts to dry out. And then for the weekend, we are expecting some drier conditions, but not only drier, hotter and very humid. So probably our hottest air of the season so far coming on the way this weekend. We'll talk more about that as well as more of those rain chances over on 5 News Plus, which again, as always, is free to watch and free to download on your smartphone, smart TV. And anytime we see storm strike or possibly severe weather, we'll be streaming on the 5 News Plus app. And we're streaming every Monday through Friday from 7 to 9 with 5 News This Morning Plus.
Well, hey, good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in to 5 News This Morning. I'm Tiffany Lee.
And I'm Joe Ellison. And as always, we'll get straight to meteorologist Danny Cassidy because we want to get the weather. You have the most important news of the day, Danny.
You always put that pressure on me, Joe. Now, thankfully, the important news is that it's much quieter this morning. We want a little bit of relief, and we're going to get a little bit of a break today, at least during the morning. But storm chances are going to continue on and off for the rest of this week. Right now, though, pretty cloudy skies. Maybe a little bit of sunshine will peek out here and there. You're kind of seeing it a little bit on the right end of your screen there. I'm kind of, you know what, I'm going to walk away from it here. You can kind of see it, my little floating hand and floating head. Hello. But once we see that sunshine, it will warm up a little bit, but again, it's not going to be a whole lot. Temperature near 70 in Fayetteville or at 70. Dew point in the mid 60s, so it is still a little bit muggy. And even though it's not going to be hot today, as we warm up closer to 80, it will still feel fairly muggy. You can see that in Fort Smith, 70 for the dew point, 73 for temperature. Again, pretty overcast skies, but you can kind of see it's lit up a little bit, meaning there's a sun trying to peek out, and it will peek out at times, but overall I think we will see those overcast skies. Temperatures for the most part, about 66 to 70 northwest Arkansas, low 70s in the River Valley. A little bit of some rain's trying to form off to our southwest. I think for the morning that'll stay off to our southwest. If we did see any rain, it'd be very spotty, mainly in eastern Oklahoma. Those dew points, as you saw, mid-60s in northwest Arkansas, mid to upper 60s in parts of the eastern River Valley, around 70 for much of the rest of the River Valley. So yeah, fairly muggy, and that dew point will continue to rise. And with that leftover moisture from yesterday, as well as some light winds overnight, there was some areas of patchy fog, but you see 10 miles, that means good visibility. That means typical conditions. We didn't see a whole lot of fog settle in, thankfully, because there was some cloud cover and just enough of a wind to make sure the air was kind of mixed up. But we'll keep that cloud cover for the rest of the day today. Again, maybe some few peaks of sunshine here and there, and some spotty storms possible for northwest Arkansas with a slightly better chance later this evening into the early night hours. For the River Valley, I think we'll keep that spotty chance throughout the morning into the early afternoon, just because it's right off our southwestern edge. But a better chance I think comes later this afternoon into the evening, and will continue on and off into the overnight hours. Those temperatures getting into the low to mid 80s. Winds not too strong today, only about 5 to 10. So the winds aren't too bad, but with that south-southeast wind, that is going to fuel a little bit of some moisture and some energy for storms to form, not only later today, but continuing to be a little bit stormy as we head through the rest of this week. So while not necessarily again as active as yesterday, I do expect a decent return to storms tonight, and if not tonight, into tomorrow. It will stay very humid, not only when it's storming the next couple of days, but even for this weekend. It's going to be dry, but very humid and pretty hot. So we'll talk about this humid and hot air on the way, as well as that storm timeline coming up in your full forecast. For now, I'll give you a live look at traffic on this Tuesday morning. Take a live look in the Lowell area along I-49 at Monroe Avenue. Obviously, as people are starting to get into work, northbound lanes, they're getting closer to Walmart. Yeah, things are slowing down, or closer to JB Hunt. Yeah, things are getting a little bit slow, but what do you expect? And otherwise quiet for this morning, but just watch for those storm chances later today. You'll have your full forecast coming up at about 7:45. Joe and Tiffany.
All right, we're talking about Joyce Boulevard and College Avenue in Fayetteville. If you drive that area a lot, you know there's a lot of traffic. It gets congested, and you see a lot of accidents.
Yeah, and that's why the city is planning to use millions of dollars in grant money to find a solution. 5 News reporter Claire Everbach joining us live with the latest. Good morning, Claire.
Hey, good morning, Tiffany, Joe. We're talking about East Joyce Boulevard today. It's a 2.2-mile stretch between North Crossover Road and North Steele Boulevard. And as you all mentioned, this area can be pretty congested in the city of Fayetteville. The city reported nearly 600 crashes just between 2018 and 2022. Now, they're taking steps to improve it both for drivers and pedestrians. Let's take a look at the map that the city of Fayetteville gave us about those proposed improvements. Roundabouts could replace traditional traffic signals at key intersections, including Vantage Drive and Old Missouri Road, with the goal of reducing high-speed crashes and improving traffic flow along those streets. Additional sidewalks, crosswalks, and raised medians are also part of the proposed plan. Another intersection the city is focused on is at Joyce Boulevard and College Avenue. While officially under RDOT jurisdiction, city leaders say safety there does remain a concern.
We're somewhat limited on what we can do there. We are looking at adding pedestrian access there. It's just really difficult to cross the road and dangerous for pedestrians. So we have some improvements there.
City leaders say the 1.6-mile stretch between Crossover and Vantage is just phase one of the project. It's being funded from a nearly $25 million grant. This first phase will use about $7 million. They say that construction for phase one is expected to begin in 2027. Construction for the later phases will, of course, be started sometime after. Live in Fayetteville, covering news where you live, Claire Everbach, 5 News.
All right, thanks for that, Claire. Well, a Washington County jury will now decide the sentencing of a man found guilty of killing his ex-girlfriend, Allison Castro. Casey Jennings was found guilty on all charges, including capital murder, evidence tampering, and abuse of a corpse. He was arrested back in 2022. Prosecutors showed key evidence during the trial this last week, including Jennings admitting to the murder and where he got rid of Castro's body. And in Arizona, investigators are revealing new details in the case of Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today's Show co-anchor Savannah Guthrie, who has been missing for 141 days now. According to sources, the FBI has reviewed at least 2 notes linked to the case, including one that claimed Nancy Guthrie was dead. Investigators are treating both notes as credible and are still working to determine who sent them. In the weeks that followed, video messages from the Guthries that once spoke of Nancy's safe return shifted in tone.
We are offering a family reward of up to $1 million for any information that leads us to her recovery.
The DNA recovered from the crime scene is still being analyzed and tested. Authorities say so far there have been no positive identifiers.
An investigation is underway in Katy, Texas, after a self-driving Tesla drove through a home, killing a 76-year-old woman. According to investigators, the Tesla jumped the curb, slammed into the home, killing Martha Avila. The sheriff's department says 44-year-old Michael Butler told them that he had automated driving assistance engaged. Tesla has not responded to requests for comment, though Tesla has emphasized in the past that drivers are responsible for being in control at all times.
And when these systems are working, it's almost impossible to pay attention the right way. It invites you to not pay attention.
In a safety report, the company says that Teslas in self-driving mode paired with a human's, quote, active supervision have fewer collisions per mile driven than the estimated U.S. vehicle averages. And Texas officials say a data breach involving a Texas Parks and Wildlife vendor may have exposed the personal information of millions of hunting and fishing license holders. Investigators say an authorized actor may have accessed driver's licenses, email addresses, and home addresses of customers who purchase licenses to hunt in Texas. Authorities say to be cautious of emails or phone calls requesting personal information.
Over the next few days, some of these storms that roll in later tonight and tomorrow, maybe even Thursday, could be on the stronger side, maybe low and severe, but mainly looking at, again, on and off chance of storms with some gusty winds, as well as some heavy rain. We'll go over that storm timeline here coming up, your full forecast.
And after the break, we're talking with an estate planner about the difference between a will and a trust. How much does it cost?
After the break, what you should be doing right now to get your things in order. The time is 7:38. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Five News This Morning is sponsored by Indigo Sky Casino, Jerry Neal's Barbecue, and Tucker's Furniture.
Mad Money Mania, Friday, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Play for your chance to win up to $10,000 cash at your premier gaming destination, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. All month long, play for your chance to win over $1 million in total cash and gold rewards prizes. Enjoy chef-created entrees at Shawano Steak and Spirits Fine Dining, ice-cold adult beverages and live weekend entertainment, and luxurious hotel suites. Experience the Indigo difference. Highway 60 west of Seneca, Missouri. IndigoSkyCasino.com for details.
Jerry Neal's Barbecue has been a Fort Smith favorite since 1977, and now we've made it faster, easier, and more rewarding when you download the Jerry Neal's app and order ahead in just a few taps. From slow smoked ribs to fresh catfish and all your favorite sides, your next meal is ready when you are. Plus, earn rewards points and unlock exclusive app-only offers and special deals. Skip the line, earn rewards toward free food, and get great barbecue. Download the Jerry Neal's app today.
Tucker's Appliance in Springdale is your appliance superstore. If you want appliances, we've got them. Sleek, modern appliances from top brands you know. You want scratch and dents? They're back. You want refrigerators and ranges? We've got them. You want dishwashers? We've got them. You want washers and dryers? We've got them. And if you don't mind a few scratches here or a few dents there, you can save a whole lot. Tucker's, your appliance superstore in Springdale. When it's appliance time, it's Tucker time.
Hey, welcome back. Well, we are joined here by Lee Mackey, partner and president at Mach 1 Financial. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks
this
for having
morning.
me. We sure appreciate it. Okay, today we're talking about estate planning, wills and things. It can be a bit confusing for some people, you know, maybe who haven't got to the point in their life where they're thinking about it. Should we start thinking about estate planning and wills when? Like soon, now?
Yeah, you know, thank you for having me. You know, the thing that we tell the people that we work with is it's best to think about estate planning before you need it. Okay, do it long before you think you're going to need it. The worst time to do it is in a time of a crisis. Oftentimes we see couples, families, they'll put one in place before they go on vacation, leaving their children behind. That's oftentimes one when we see that. But, you mentioned at the very beginning wills and things. Most people, question what exactly is an estate plan. Of course, wills are the most common. But they involve anything that has to do with financial decisions, healthcare decisions. And so the basic estate plan typically consists of a will, possibly a trust, a revocable living trust, medical or healthcare powers of attorney, financial powers of attorney. So all of those tend to go into what many people consider to be their estate plan.
Well, you had said within that a will and the trust, the difference between the two?
Okay. A will is most common, and think of a will as, who you want to get what, okay? Wills are subject to probate. In this country, in Arkansas, if you leave a will, those assets, when you pass away, are subject to probate. It's a court process that goes through the dispensing or the distribution of your assets. It can be costly. It can take a fair amount of time, and it's public. Anything that goes through probate is open to viewing to anybody that wants to do that. So when you put assets in a revocable living trust, one big advantage to that is it's private, and it avoids probate. Therefore saving potentially thousands of dollars and months of time.
I see.
And so once you get those in order, where do you put them? Who do you leave them with? How do you keep your will and your estate safe?
Great question. Oftentimes the attorney, if you work with an attorney, they'll keep it on file. We always recommend that our clients keep them in a safe place, a fireproof safe at home, a safety deposit box at your bank. We oftentimes will upload it to their files at the office. Having 2 or 3 different places. And then, of course, if you've named an executor or a trustee, you oftentimes will let them know where they can find that in case you do pass away, something happens to you, they're readily available to those that you've named in your documents.
Well, can this become quite costly for someone to plan out their estate? Does it have to go through a lawyer, or just it's suggested that you need
Okay, great questions. It can be costly. I mean, into the tune of thousands of dollars. You may ask, well, what is, somebody at Mach 1, and we're an investment and planning firm talking about estate planning. We feel that, financial matters can't be handled in a vacuum. They need to be incorporated with all sorts of planning, including estate planning. One of the things that we're able to do with folks that work with us is through a company or entity called wealth.com. We're able to, for a planning fee, provide these services to our clients. But to your point, it can be very expensive. I mean, here in Northwest Arkansas, to get a good estate plan done with attorneys here that specialize in it, you're probably looking at $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 and up from there.
Definitely.
That is a little pricey. And I want to go back to, you were saying maybe you have an executor or someone like that when it comes to the will, the trust. What kind of people do y'all suggest for that? A family member, a friend from the outside? What's the most common, and what have you seen cause the least problems?
For an executor, that person is responsible for basically overseeing the will. That oftentimes is a surviving spouse. It can be another family member. It can be, a responsible adult child, a family friend. With regard to trustees for a trust, it can also be a family member. And oftentimes there you'll name a corporate trustee. Many banks will have trust departments. There are trust companies where there's family situations where there may be a special needs child. There may be a child or a family member that has a alcohol or drug problem where you want to protect that child. Oftentimes it's better to use a corporate trustee to help with that rather than another family member or a family friend.
So when it comes to estate planning, should we sort of factor that into our financial planning? I mean, is that part of it? It's not really necessarily a separate entity. It should be part of the process.
They should go together. They are separate. Financial matters involve your checking accounts and your savings and your investments. but estate planning can too, especially when there's beneficiary designations involved. Too often times people will work on their estate planning. They'll put wills and trust in place, but then they won't take care of the beneficiary designations that often exist with life insurance policies, annuities, 401k, IRAs. And oftentimes they're inconsistent. And so we advise all of our clients that when they're going through the process of estate planning, making sure that the beneficiary designations on their investments are consistent with their estate plan.
I say great. Thank you so much. Great information.
You
We'd
bet.
love to have you here. Lee Mackey is going to stay with us. He'll come back at 8:30. We'll ask him some more questions. Thank you so much.
You bet.
All right, let's go ahead and check in with Danny. Did you learn a few things, Danny?
I learned a little things, and it's never too early to do
Yeah.
it. But at the ripe age of, I'm in my 20s, so don't want to necessarily think about
It's time,
that.
Danny.
But it's never too early, like I said. But great advice there. And we'll show you what's going on across the region right now with weather. Take a live look along I-40 at exit 37 in the Ozark area. Overcast skies, quiet conditions, but of course at about 25 hours ago, certainly not as quiet as it was in the Ozark area. So as you saw yesterday, or may have seen, it was rated an EF1 tornado. It started on the west end of town at 6:16 a.m., crossed over Highway 64, a little bit east-northeast, especially that Woodland neighborhood area, dropped southeast, cross Highway 64, cross Highway 23, south of the Arkansas River, and then ended at about 6:24 on the ground again for 8 minutes at about 3.3 miles, and at its biggest width, about 400 yards. So that's about at the max, and pretty big there, almost a quarter of a mile wide. So again, thankfully no injuries were reported, but we saw plenty of damage from that area. Now, as we head into today, things are going to be overall quieter, not just this morning, but during the afternoon as well. A lot of overcast skies, some showers trying to develop off to our southwest, but really this is all courtesy of this area of kind of a couple of fronts here. This is a front that kind of triggered those storms yesterday, and really it's near this warm front they'll have more activity. Notice this whole line of storms basically from Colorado, or a little bit north Colorado and Nebraska southward. These are going to be the storms that are going to be moving in from the northwest later today, and especially for tonight, as this warm front moves to the northeast, that's going to push those storms our direction. That combined with some upper air flow is what's contributing to these storms and repeated rounds of storms we'll be seeing over the next few days. The jet stream is just to our north, so the strongest activity is going to stay into the northern plains there, kind of in the eastern Rockies. But when you have this air aloft that's northwest, you kind of get these little wrinkles of energy, and they'll usually shot our way for over numerous days. And this is pretty typical of summer, and that's the current pattern we're sitting in right now. Now, thankfully, this jet stream is going to lift to the north later this week and will dry out. Unfortunately, what's left behind it is very hot air, and that's going to be filtering in later this week, along with the fact that it's going to remain very humid even as we dry out. Those dew points are going to be sitting in the mid-70s throughout the rest of this week, so it's going to remain very humid, and it's going to be hot to end this week. But before then, we do have to watch for some storm chances. So we'll show you that here on Futurecast. And this morning, I think it's very quiet. I can't rule out a spotty storm, especially in eastern Oklahoma, but staying pretty quiet. Then during the afternoon, we'll see that front move a little bit farther northeast, and that'll bring a couple of isolated storm chances, especially in the River Valley, but some in northwest Arkansas has that chance as well. Later tonight into the day, Wednesday, this is where I think chances pick up a little bit, maybe some heavy rainfall, maybe some gusty winds, but especially it looks like for tomorrow during the morning into the afternoon, that's where you could see some heavy rainfall start to move in here, as well as some gusty winds. That continues to push through for tomorrow afternoon. And then late afternoon, early evening, a little bit of more isolated activity. And that continues for us into Wednesday night. So I think we'll see more storm chances as we head into Thursday and Friday as well. I think Thursday and Friday is mainly north of I-40. The farther north you live has a better shot of seeing these storms because that jet stream continues to lift north. And then for the weekend, we do dry out. But as I mentioned, we dry out. Oof, we heat up. High temperatures slowly building for the rest of this week, getting into the upper 80s on Saturday. I do think we hit 90 on both Sunday and Monday, and those low temperatures are also on the rise. So you notice the lows, if they're high, that means that humidity, that dew point is high. So dew points are going to be in the mid-70s for the rest of this week, and you put a high of 90 and a dew point of 75. That puts that heat index at about 100. So I think we could feel like that as early as Thursday for the River Valley, but for later this weekend, we could see that feels like at about 105, maybe as high as 110. So some of the warmest air yet this season. And with that for this weekend, although it's going to be drier, just make sure to be safe out there, especially if you're spending time outside. All right, I'll hand things over to Alex Stewart for your morning sports report.
Well, welcome into this edition of Town Hall Talks. Today we are joined by Sebastian County Emergency Management Director Travis Cooper. Travis, thank you so much for joining us here.
You bet. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for making the trek up all the way from Sebastian County. I think a lot of residents are wondering, we're heading into that severe weather season. We even saw a couple tornadoes this past week in our area and across the Midwest right now. So what are some common mistakes you would say that people make during tornado season when it comes to safety?
You know, when we identify seasons throughout the year, we also identify certain threats or hazards throughout the year. A lot of times, even us as emergency responders sometimes would become complacent. And so most common things that might be considered a hiccup or a mistake would be that complacency of not knowing what the day looks like, not knowing what the weather is going to be during severe weather. If you don't have the notification and you're not being informed and staying informed, that's where we find mistakes happening.
Definitely important. How much would you say has emergency management changed in the last 5 to 10 years? What's evolving these days?
So one of the aspects of emergency planning and just the overall components of emergency management, I've seen it more and more here, especially in the River Valley and Northwest Arkansas, of more of your businesses and nonprofit groups, especially within healthcare, have integrated into having more emergency planning to be a part of their roles and responsibilities. We also identify that a lot of your public schools now have some school resource officers or even in-school police departments. And so that has integrated more into emergency planning and readiness and response as well.
How are people in Sebastian County receiving these emergency alerts? And should people be signing up for maybe different websites or apps? Tell me about that.
So one of the things that we have with the emergency alerts and notification systems is that we now have our devices that have multiple apps, multiple opportunities to actually alert you in the middle of the night. We have a mass notification system that we've used for a number of years called HyperReach. We're actually working with the city of Fort Smith very heavily and with our River Valley Communications Center in creating something with Everbridge. That's another platform that we're going to be looking at, which a lot of companies, a lot of agencies, and a lot of communities also use that same platform. And so we're looking to merge to that this coming summer and fall. And so we'll be, stay tuned to having information on our website and more information on how to sign up for mass notification systems. If you were to go to our website at sebastiancountyar.gov, right now you will find ways to sign up for our HyperReach mass notification system now.
Thank you so much, Travis, for being here today.
Yeah, if you want to see the full version of our interview, you can visit our website, 5newsonline.com. And of course, we'll see you next time on Town Hall Talks.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. I'm 5 News meteorologist Danny Cassie. Thankfully, a lot quieter of a morning and overall quieter day today compared to yesterday, but we do have some chances of storms not only for later today, but especially later tonight into the day tomorrow. So we'll show you what that looks like on Futurecast. This morning, I think we're dry, mostly cloudy to cloudy, but dry. A few spotty storms are going to try to develop off to our west-southwest near McAllister, but I think most of it will stay to the southwest with the boundary that's kind of allowing these storms to form, staying west. But later this afternoon, we'll see that warm front shift a little bit northeast, and that could lead for the ground to some showers and storms developing, especially in the River Valley, but some in northwest Arkansas as well. The better chance, I think, comes later tonight into early Wednesday. We'll see kind of storm chances on and off throughout the overnight hours, and then the best chance, I think, for the rest of this week comes tomorrow, especially during the morning and early afternoon. And as this moves through, could see quite a bit of some heavy rainfall and maybe some gusty winds that continues to push through for the morning into the early afternoon. Then after that, a little bit more isolated activity for the evening, and then could see some additional redevelopment Wednesday night into early Thursday. As we head through the rest of the week, we will see storm chances continue for Thursday and Friday, mainly though for northwest Arkansas, especially on Friday, as a jet stream continues to lift north, which will dry us out from south to north, but kind of hang some storm chances around. Then for the weekend, we do see it dry out. Unfortunately, that also means that some hot air is going to move in, and it is going to remain humid, so expect this weekend to be hotter than Father's Day weekend, but just about as humid. We'll talk more about those hot and humid conditions, as well as that storm timeline over on 5 News Plus. Again, as always, we're free to watch and free to download on your smartphone and smart TV. Also, if any severe weather were to strike through the rest of this week, of course, at any time, we'll be streaming always on the 5 News Plus app.
Well, good morning. It's 8 o'clock Tuesday, June 23rd. We're taking a live look out over Rogers. Hope you're off to a great start. We are. The sky starting to turn a little bit, purpley blue out there?
Yeah, I think that sun's starting to try to rise over the clouds, but unfortunately that cloud cover is pretty stubborn. It's like a younger sibling that just will not leave your room. Well, it's not going to leave the skies anytime soon.
But it's kind of provided a nice little cool off.
Yeah, those temperatures are not expected to be very warm today. It's going to remain muggy, but it will actually be probably below normal in 70s and low 80s, but still, again, kind of muggy. We'll show what's going on across the rest of the region for this morning. You can see that cloud cover pretty widespread. Temperatures this morning are fairly mild, upper 60s and lower 70s, but for later today, as I mentioned, not going to warm up very much because the cloud cover is going to be pretty stubborn and the winds aren't going to be too strong. So there's not much push of warm air from either aloft or at the surface. So I think we'll probably get into the 70s, low 80s later today, but that's probably about it. That cloud cover you can see pretty widespread. Those showers just off to our southwest, been kind of sitting there for the past few hours, and it's just because of a warm front or a stationary front, really. That's just been kind of the breeding ground of some showers that are trying to develop. But as long as that front stays off to the southwest, which it will for the rest of this morning, I think most of it will stay off to the southwest. Those dew points, fairly muggy in some spots, especially in the River Valley, a handful of 70s there. Otherwise, in the mid-60s across the rest of the region. We'll see that dew point continue to climb for the rest of today and for really the rest of this week. Visibility looks good. There was some areas of patchy fog earlier this morning, but now sitting at 10 miles, which is the max, which is the best. It's good. Not any visibility issues out there. As I mentioned, we'll see that temperature getting into the mid to upper 70s. I do think we'll see a few low 80s later today in the River Valley. And those storm chances will be best during the late afternoon, evening hours, but you can see pretty isolated. Storm chance I do think will pick up, though, for later tonight into the overnight hours, or I should say early morning hours. For the River Valley, again, can't rule out a spotty shower, but most of it will stay off to our southwest. Better chance comes later this afternoon into the evening, and then that'll continue on and off into the overnight hours. Temperatures into the lower 80s. Winds, as I mentioned, not too strong. Out of the south-southeast at about 5 to 10, so not much of a push of warm air, but just enough that as it rides along the boundary to our west, we'll be continuing to feed the chances of some storms. And so we're going to be a fairly stormy pattern here over the next few days, especially I think for late tonight and tomorrow is probably our best chance of storms for the rest of the week. And even as we dry out for the weekend, it is going to remain very humid. So at the end of this week, it's going to certainly feel like the heat of summer with not only the heat, but the humidity. We'll talk about that storm timeline as well as those humid conditions coming up in your full forecast. For now, we'll give you a live look at traffic on this Tuesday morning. Take a live look along I-49 at Sunset Avenue in the Springdale area. Good morning to you there. Again, as things are heading out later this morning, looking to be pretty good. Just watch for some storm chances later today. We'll have your full forecast coming up at about 8:14. Joe.
Thanks, Teddy. Well, we're following a story over the weekend out of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, where a fireworks stand caught on fire. According to our CBS affiliate in Tulsa, no injuries, but investigators believe the fire here started from an electrical malfunction. Firefighters say they were able to get the fire under control in about 20 minutes after the fire set off about $60,000 worth of fireworks. And in Sequoyah County, a kayaker died while on the Illinois River Saturday evening. Troopers say 49-year-old Jeremy Brossel got stuck in a log jam. When he got out of the kayak to walk around it, he was swept downstream about 150 yards. The Gore Rural Fire Department says his body was recovered from the river on Monday. And in Franklin County, we're getting a good look at the damage left behind by a confirmed tornado across Franklin County. Remember, this is early Monday morning. Thankfully, no injuries were reported from the EF1. But Sky 5 footage shows the storm's aftermath near Ozark and neighboring towns. Winds there were measured between 95 and 105 miles per hour. County leaders say those with damaged homes should begin the process of contacting their insurance companies.
If you're a resident that's been impacted by this, document. Take pictures of your damage and everything for insurance purposes and call your insurance provider as soon as possible.
Now, while crews focus on recovery efforts, community organizations are helping meet immediate needs. Lions International has set up a trailer stocked with essential items for those impacted. And Monday's severe storms also brought a lot of rain, which created scenes like this one right here out of West Fork. The PD there sharing this video captured at Riverside Park. And new this morning, Fayetteville proposing a multi-phase project aimed at reducing traffic and improving safety for drivers and pedestrians along Joyce Boulevard. 5 News reporter Claire Everbach has more.
The 2.2-mile section of East Joyce Boulevard between North Crossover Road and North Steele Boulevard has been identified by the city as a high-injury network corridor. Nearly 600 crashes were reported between 2018 and 2022. And now the city is taking steps to improve safety near these intersections using part of a $25 million grant. Let's take a look at some of the proposed improvements. Roundabouts could replace traditional traffic signals at key intersections, including along Vantage Drive and Old Missouri Road, with the goal of reducing high-speed crashes and improving traffic flow. Additional sidewalks, crosswalks, and raised medians are also part of the proposed plan. City leaders say this section of Joyce Boulevard is the first phase of a larger project. The current design of Joyce Boulevard contributes to a number of safety concerns, particularly when drivers are trying to turn on or off the road.
It's a 4-lane road with relatively high speed, so we have a lot of rear-end accidents when people are trying to get off of the road, turn left, and also incidents where people are trying to access the road and are getting having incidents there. So what we're trying to do is improve on the safety of the roadways.
Construction on Phase 1 is expected to begin next year. City leaders are still working to secure funding for the other phases of the project, which will begin sometime after 2027. In Fayetteville, covering news where you live, Claire Everbach, 5 News.
Some were taken to military camps where they went through very aggressive militarization.
Coming up, we'll have a look inside of an underground railroad used to rescue thousands of Ukrainian children abducted by Russian forces, all during the ongoing war. How a volunteer group risked everything to bring them home.
And later today, could see some isolated storms. Again, not as active as it was yesterday, but a few could be here on and off throughout the evening. And that'll continue tonight into the day tomorrow as well. We'll talk more about the storm chances here in the storm timeline in your full forecast.
And also in the Daily Brew, the hunt is on for the oldest Bed Bath & Beyond coupon still in circulation. Yeah, do you remember those? Well, it may allow homeowners to get quite the payday. We're talking thousands here. It's coming up in the Daily Brew.
Five News This Morning is sponsored by Indigo Sky Casino, Jerry Neal's Barbecue, and Tucker's Furniture.
Mad Money Mania, Friday 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Play for your chance to win up to $10,000 cash at your premier gaming destination, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. All month long, play for your chance to win over $1 million in total cash and gold rewards prizes. Enjoy chef-created entrees at Shawano Steak and Spirits Fine Dining, ice-cold adult beverages and live weekend entertainment, and luxurious hotel suites. Experience the Indigo difference. Highway 60 west of Seneca, Missouri. IndigoSkyCasino.com for details.
Jerry Neal's Barbecue has been a Fort Smith favorite since 1977, and now we've made it faster, easier, and more rewarding when you download the Jerry Neal's app and order ahead in just a few taps. From slow smoked ribs to fresh catfish and all your favorite sides, your next meal is ready when you are. Plus, earn rewards points and unlock exclusive app-only offers and special deals. Skip the line, earn rewards toward free food, and get great barbecue. Download the Jerry Neal's app today.
Tucker's Appliance in Springdale is your appliance superstore. If you want appliances, we've got them. Sleek, modern appliances from top brands you know. You want scratch and dents? They're back. You want refrigerators and ranges? We've got them. You want dishwashers? We've got them. You want washers and dryers? We've got them. And if you don't mind a few scratches here or a few dents there, you can save a whole lot. Tucker's, your appliance superstore in Springdale. When it's appliance time, it's Tucker time.
Well, thousands of Ukrainian children are thought to be forcibly abducted by Russian forces during the ongoing war. But luckily, many of them have been able to escape with the help of a volunteer group. Reporter Jim Scudiel has more.
20,000 teddy bears on the National Mall, each one, say organizers, representing a Ukrainian child abducted during the ongoing war with Russia. I've covered the Ukraine war since Russia's invasion and have heard firsthand how the war has broken families apart.
So the Ukrainian government has verified, I think to date, 20,570 cases of abduction of children, but this number is growing as they verify more cases.
Anastasia was one of those children.
I was 15 years old. I was studying in college and I was in Kherson. At that time, Kherson was invaded by Russians, and that's when everything happened.
As the war began, Anastasia was planning to flee Kherson before Russian police stopped her at a checkpoint. She says she was held in Russian captivity for roughly 10 months before she managed to escape with the help of her mother and the nonprofit Save Ukraine.
I had to survive violence towards me and abuse. They allowed themselves to do anything they wanted. For example, they could enter our rooms when we were taking baths, but the condition of this dormitory was so dire. There were happening inhumane things, as well as the rape of 13-year-old girl whom I know.
Russia has denied it's carried out mass child abductions, claiming they transferred Ukrainian children to Russia for their own safety. Ukrainian advocates say Russia is intentionally capturing the children to erase their Ukrainian identity.
All the children have been subjected to re-education and indoctrination. And then there's also more harsh realities. Some were taken to military camps where they went through very aggressive militarization.
Since Russia's first invasion of Ukraine in 2014, Save Ukraine says it has rescued more than 1,300 children through what it calls an underground railroad.
The war in Ukraine has traumatized our children physically, emotionally, and culturally. Our recent report, Return Every Child, gives a devastating picture on how Russia's aggression targets not just territory, but the very identity and future of Ukraine's younger generation through forced indoctrination and trauma.
In March, the U.S. allocated $25 million towards identifying, tracking, and returning Ukrainian children abducted by Russia. U.S. First Lady Melania Trump has helped with the return of some 24 Ukrainian kids.
As you can imagine, this is not an easy feat. But I applaud leadership from both nations in working with my representative and me to bring love and safety back to each individual who has been displaced as a result of this horrible war.
However, many thousands remain left behind. Anastasia's message to them is, don't give up.
I really ask everybody who is either trapped in occupation or are looking for their children who are trapped under Russian control, do not believe those words that I've been told by them. Do everything that you can to escape or rescue your loved ones.
Jim Sciutto, CNN, Washington.
Take a live look at traffic this morning. Here's a live look along I-40, exit 57 in the Clarksville area. So this morning, very quiet. Yesterday morning, not so quiet. We saw plenty of damage reports, especially in the River Valley along at South I-40, including obviously the tornado from yesterday in the Ozark area. So it was confirmed by the National Weather Service in EF1 with a maximum wind speed of 105 on the ground for 3.3 miles. Started right along Highway 64 on the west end of town at 6:16 a.m., dipped a little bit southeast, south of the river, crossed Highway 23, and then lifted about 6:24. And again, that was a width of 400 yards, so that's roughly about a quarter of a mile wide. Now, thankfully, we didn't see any reported injuries out of this, but we did see, of course, quite a bit of damage. Now, right now, quiet, and that's what we like it. Cloud cover is covering much of the region, and as we get to the southwest, a few spotty showers, but overall it's staying fairly quiet. We are going to watch for is later today, though, this kind of system we're seeing right here. You see all these storms kind of moving off the eastern Rockies? That's going to continue for us over the next few days. That's kind of where the center of this origination of these storms are forming. And the reason being is because there's air aloft in the middle of the atmosphere that's kind of as the breeding ground for some storms. So with the jet stream right overhead, kind of building off the Rockies, those storms are kind of sloping down the mountains, getting some energy, forming into storms, and then moving its way southeast along the northwest flow and where the boundary is. So the boundary is a little bit farther southwest, you saw. But once that boundary moves a little bit northeast and we get this northwest flow, we're going to see repeated rounds of storms starting later tonight into the day tomorrow. And some of them could be strong with some heavy rainfall. Along with that, we're going to see very humid conditions. Those dew points are going to be made very muggy in the mid-70s, even after storms taper off later this week. You saw that map there, that red hot in Texas. That's going to eventually build in from the south later this week. So it's going to be very hot and humid to end the week, very humid and stormy at times later this week. So we'll show you what that looks like on Futurecast. This morning, again, not expecting much in the area. A few spotty showers could scrape into eastern Oklahoma, but most of the activity I think will be for today, later this afternoon, this evening. A couple of isolated storms possible, especially in the River Valley, areas farther south and west. But for northwest Arkansas, we'll see those storm chances start to pick up and really just area-wide later tonight. We'll kind of see on and off chances of storms as we head into tonight and tomorrow. Tomorrow could see this line of storms. Again, you can see some heavy rainfall potential as well as some gusty winds that continues to push through for the afternoon hours, then kind of see more on and off chances later Wednesday evening and into the overnight hours. I think we'll see that a little bit for Thursday and Friday as well. Now, Thursday and Friday, I think, is going to be lifted a little bit farther north because that jet stream will continue to move north, but we are going to see that storm chance continue. And again, could see some stronger storms. Then as we head into the weekend, that does dip down. But as it dips down, as I mentioned, that heat is going to rise. Today, not too hot. Upper 70s and low 80s in northwest Arkansas, low to mid 80s in the River Valley. But for later this week, we'll see those highs into the mid 80s for Thursday and Friday, upper 80s on Saturday, and right around 90 for Sunday and Monday. So while we dry out, unfortunately, we're heating up. The humidity stays the same. So low temperatures, you may notice, are in the mid to upper 70s by the end of this week. So that usually an indication that, yeah, that humidity is still there. And not only is it still there, it's going to probably stick around for much of the start of next week as well. You combine that heat and humidity, could feel like the triple digits at times later this weekend for northwest Arkansas. And the River Valley could feel up to 105 later this weekend, as warm as 100 starting Thursday. So again, even though we're drying out, unfortunately, it is going to heat up as we head towards the end of the week.
Well, hey, welcome to the Daily Brew. Now, we're just wondering, do you have a junk drawer? Do you have one of those?
I think everyone's got to have one, right? I do.
Everyone does. What do you put in your junk drawer?
A variety of things, like extra paper, like to write on stuff, maybe like, you know, like a lighter or something. Usually utility, but also like mail that like gives you reminder things. I kind of throw it in there.
Well, you may want to take a look through your junk drawer, because if you have any old mail sitting around, go through it. If you have one of those expired Bed Bath & Beyond coupons, do you remember those?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody used to have them. Well, the company is holding a contest to find the oldest coupon that's still around. Now, Monday through July 13th, you can dig through wherever you think it may be and get this. If you can present it, and it's the winner, the legendary coupon hunt, you could get a $100,000 home transformation.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to have it. My parents may have had it because my mom is kind of a semi-hoarder. She's fine. Like she cleans, but she has a lot of like old stuff. But they just moved and she had to clean out. So she may have thrown away a $100,000 coupon. I don't know.
Maybe you just say, hey, Mom, just in case you have any, sticking around, make sure you know, save it. Don't throw it away.
I was going to say, because you never know when you could get the transformation of a lifetime.
Yeah, I know. Could you imagine like a $100,000 renovation? That's a lot. You're not doing the entire house, but you could do a couple rooms.
Oh, it's a couple rooms and maybe like some outdoor stuff is too. That's life-changing money.
Yeah, it is right there. All right, follow this one under you really ought to know better. Authorities in Florida say a pair of senior citizens, they were busted after street racing.
Hey, they're just trying to have a good time, Joe. I feel like that's for you and your older Joe. You got some nice cars, street racing.
Right. So they were clocked at driving over 100 miles per hour each.
Oh.
Right?
Okay, I didn't know they were going that fast.
All right, we had a little Nats pop here that says, the officer says, you were going 110 in a 45. He was going 125 in the 45.
Oh,
so
my.
Either way, you're going too fast. Here's what happened. According to a court affidavit, an 85-year-old driver told Lake County deputies that the other driver, which was 57-year-old, swerved at him, and it may have triggered an alleged street race of sorts between the two. While being arrested, the other driver claimed his car, a Corvette, was incapable of reaching those speeds. Come on, man. You got a Corvette. It's going over 100 miles per hour.
Yeah, I know. Wow. I can't say I've ever driven at that speed. Maybe
never, not even once.
Not 125. Mid-8. I think maybe we got to 90 once in some back roads in Minnesota, but never 125.
You never wanted to see it go over that 100?
I mean, I've wanted to, but I just haven't had like an appropriate area to do it. But there's some back roads in Minnesota where like you just know nothing's gonna come
Danny,
up.
you find one. Find one and you push that gas to the floor.
Well, I don't think my
feel the wind in your hair.
I was gonna say the Civic cannot get up to what I drive.
No.
Maybe it can get up to 90. So otherwise, I think it might fall apart. But if there's a car that I come across maybe later in my life, and you guys know of a spot to do it, then let me know. But don't snitch on me. Just trying to get to 100.
All right, both of those drivers have denied the charges of the racing. It doesn't matter what age you are. Road rage is a real thing.
Road rage is real, and denial is a real thing as well. That's the first stage of grief is denial.
Denial. Wait, what are the other ones?
Denial,
Anger,
acceptance, maybe.
Oh, we're missing two.
Yeah, the last two. Is it like?
People at home are yelling at us.
I
They're
know.
like,
Sorry.
You should know this.
We would get 3 out of 5. We'd still kind of fail.
Bargaining.
Oh, acceptance is the last one. Okay.
Bargaining.
Bargaining and depression. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to get right to the end and just accept my fate.
Yeah. You know, I sometimes, when I have to go through the stages, because everybody does, I get stuck in the anger one for some reason.
Well, it's really hard to get out of it because you can't still believe that it happened.
Yeah. Like if I have like a pet die or something, you go through anger. I get stuck in that one. I've got to learn how to get to the last one like you.
Hey, we all get through stages of grief differently, Joe. Even if it's, street racing.
Oh, yeah. That could get you through some tough times.
That's it. You're going to be a lot of anger after that one.
That'll change your attitude.
I was just trying to win a race.
Right. All right, check this out. A truck carrying 2 million bees, that's right. It crashed on a Texas highway on Sunday, creating quite a cleanup job. The video here was captured by Queen Bee Supply, showing just how chaotic it got when the workers tried to round up that whole swarm, which is sort of a hard job, I guess, but at the same time, they don't really go anywhere if you're not bothering them. They like to settle.
Yeah, it just kind of depends on the bee, or I guess, like if it's a hornet, I'm running if it's a hornet, which I don't think these are those. I think they're just like honeybees.
Yeah, hornets are mean.
Hornets and wasps, I'm not going anywhere. They're everywhere, obviously, in the country, but for us, there was always some that would settle in under our deck.
Mm-hmm.
And every summer, my dad would be like, all right, Danny, we're gonna go out there. And one of them, they did get me. But we took out the nest, but I went down with some battle scars.
Wait, why did you have to go help?
Well, because I was home, and he's like, well, my brothers were they're at summer hockey. They're like, well, I get penalized for not playing summer hockey, but we got to figure it out.
Get stung by a hornet.
Yeah, then I made sure the next summer I'm going to take a job or something, avoid those chores.
There you go. I love it. Hey, thanks so much for joining us here for the Daily Brew. It's 8:22. Stay with us. We have more 5 News This Morning Plus coming up. I'm Joe Ellison. In this 5 News update, the 85th Fighter Group in Fort Smith will be hosting trainer exercises for flights overnight. Authorities say they'll continue F-35 fighter jet training through July 2nd. Now, this is all part of the requirements of the F-35 Foreign Military Training Program. Right now, the Air Base has pilots from Singapore and Finland training. And then tomorrow in Springdale, the Rodeo of the Ozarks will begin its 82nd year run. The event will go all the way through Saturday there at Parsons Stadium, featuring, of course, the bull riding, the barrel racing, and a whole lot more. Now, a rodeo parade will go down Emma Avenue tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. 8:25, a live look outside over Ozark. I hope you're doing great today. Let's check in with Danny for your weather and traffic. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Joe. Good morning, everyone out there. Hopefully you're having a great start to your Tuesday. A lot quieter of a start to our Tuesday compared to our Monday. And as we get into later today, we could see a few storms return, especially later tonight into early tomorrow. So we'll show you what that looks like on Futurecast. And late this morning, I think we're going to stay fairly quiet. But later this afternoon, I think we could see a few storms start to trickle into the area, not necessarily just in the River Valley, but parts of northwest Arkansas as well. And then later tonight into early tomorrow, we're going to have to watch for a line of storms moving in. And there's kind of some differentiation of how fast it'll get here, but whether it gets here late tonight or early tomorrow, this could pack some heavy rainfall as well as some gusty winds. So this iteration here has it coming in for tomorrow morning. And it could pack a punch with some heavy rainfall, maybe some gusty winds. That continues to push through for the afternoon hours tomorrow. Then could see a few more showers and isolated rumbles of thunder later tomorrow night into early Thursday. Now, rain chance I think are going to continue for us for Thursday and Friday as well. But for Thursday and Friday, I do think it'll be a little bit more favored for northwest Arkansas. The jet stream that's aloft, that's kind of generating these storm chances, is going to continue to lift north. That's going to push our storm chance to mainly into northwest Arkansas. Then Saturday, we start to dry out. For the weekend, we do dry out as well, but it is going to get hotter. Today, not too bad. Upper 70s and low 80s in northwest Arkansas, low to mid 80s in the River Valley. But as we head into later this week, we're going to see those highs get into the upper 80s to 90, mid 90s for the River Valley. And with that humidity, it's going to put that feels like at about 100 to 105, maybe close to 110 in parts of the River Valley. We'll talk more about those rain chances as well as that heat and humidity on the way over on 5 News Plus, which again, as always, is free to watch and free to download on your smartphone and smart TV. We're streaming every Monday through Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. on the 5 News Plus app with your news, weather, and traffic. And if there is any severe weather for us for any time of the year, we'll always be streaming on 5 News Plus.
Well, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us here on 5 News Plus. I'm Joe Ellison.
And I'm Tiffany Lee. Hopefully you're off to a great start on this Tuesday. Good news is it's a little bit calmer morning than it was this time yesterday. So, Danny, we're hoping it's going to be a good day.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fairly good day. We're going to see a lot of cloud cover, but like you said, much quieter and really not too warm. We'll show you what's going on at this moment here. First, we'll take a live look over in Rogers. And as we head over to Rogers, it's going to be, well, fairly quiet, cloudy. Temperature of 67, dew point of 64. So a little bit muggy out there, but really when you have cooler conditions, well, coolish conditions, then that dew point doesn't play as much of a factor. So it really doesn't feel too bad out there. For the River Valley, yeah, that dew point is a little bit higher. Dew point is 70, so you can feel the mugginess out there a little bit more. Temperature of 73, but overcast skies across much of the region. And I don't think we'll see a whole lot of sunshine for later today. There are those temperatures in the upper 60s and low 70s in northwest Arkansas, low to mid 70s in the River Valley. Some showers are just barely scraping southern LaFleur County, and a lot of that activity I think will stay to the southwest for this morning. But a few could trickle in later today, especially in that eastern Oklahoma area. Dew points for the most part in the mid 60s. We see a handful of low 70s there in the River Valley, especially in the Ouachitas. So yeah, it is slightly muggy. And that dew point left some overnight moisture for us combined with the rain we saw. But thankfully, visibility has lifted. So I think that's what's kind of lending to some cloud cover, that in the middle of the atmosphere, we kind of still have a lot of that moisture left over. So not a whole lot of sunshine peeking through. But as we get through the rest of the day today, we could see a little bit of sunshine here and there. And that'll put temperatures in the upper 70s to about 80 in northwest Arkansas. Storm chances, although isolated, are a little bit more likely later today and especially overnight into the day tomorrow. For the River Valley, similar story. Spotty chances for us this morning into the afternoon, early afternoon that is, but better chances during the late afternoon and evening hours. That'll continue into the overnight. Winds, not too bad today. Out of the south-southeast at about 5 to 10, but it is going to provide enough of a lift of moisture for us heading into the night tonight and really over the next few days. So we're going to kind of have a stormy pattern ahead, and along with that, it's going to remain very humid. So even as we dry out for this weekend, it is going to remain humid and also very hot. So we'll talk about the storm timeline as well as these humid conditions on the way coming up in your full forecast. For now, I'll give you a live look at traffic on this Tuesday morning. Take a live look along I-49 at Southeast 14th Street, in Bentonville. A pretty similar picture across the region. Cloudy skies, not too bad though, but again, watching for some storm chances later today. Over your full forecast coming up at about 8:45. Joe and Tiffany.
All right, thanks, Danny. Now, if you commute in Fayetteville, around the areas of Joyce and College there, you've probably been stuck in traffic, maybe a lot of accidents.
Yeah, congestion tends to be a problem there, and that's why the city is planning to use millions of dollars in grant money to find a solution. 5 News reporter Claire Everbach has more.
The 2.2-mile stretch of East Joyce Boulevard has been identified by the city as a high-injury network corridor. Nearly 600 crashes were reported between 2018 and 2022. And now the city is taking steps to improve safety for both drivers and pedestrians. The city will use a portion of a $25 million federal grant. Roundabouts could replace traditional traffic signals at intersections along Vantage Drive and Old Missouri Road, with the goal of reducing high-speed crashes and improving traffic flow. Additional sidewalks, crosswalks, and raised medians are also part of the proposed plan. Another intersection the city is focused on is at Joyce Boulevard and College Avenue. While officially under RDOT jurisdiction, city leaders say safety there remains a concern.
We're somewhat limited on what we can do there. We are looking at adding pedestrian access there. It's just really difficult to cross the road and dangerous for pedestrians. So we have some improvements there.
City leaders say this section is just phase 1 of a much larger project. Phase 1 construction is expected to begin in 2027. In Fayetteville, covering news where you live, Claire Everbach, 5 News.
A Washington County jury will now decide the sentencing of a man found guilty of killing his ex-girlfriend, Allison Castro. Casey Jennings was found guilty on all charges, including capital murder, evidence tampering, and abuse of a corpse. He was arrested back in 2022. Prosecutors showed key evidence, including Jennings admitting to the murder and where he got rid of Castro's body. Well, also in Washington County, the Sheriff's Office recently completed at-home compliance checks for registered sex offenders in the area. Authorities say that it led to 6 arrests, a warrant issued, and 2 active investigations. The Sheriff's Office notes over 95% of registered offenders are following state rules.
Well, in other news, Fort Smith City directors will discuss with state lawmakers some potential legislative action regarding Baptist Health in Fort Smith. They're considering changing how Arkansas hospitals notify the community when services are reduced. It comes after the hospital service cuts, where 10 departments were affected and over 200 employees were laid off. It was first discussed in March, but the directors tabled it to hear directly from lawmakers. Also in Fort Smith, Officer Kyle Newman returned to the police department to be honored with a Medal of Valor and a Purple Heart. You'll remember Newman was shot in the neck last month during a DWI investigation. The department didn't say when Newman will be cleared to return to duty, but the department says in the meantime, they're thankful for all the community's prayers and the inspiration that Newman has been to his fellow officers.
Well, coming up on this week's Town Hall Talks, we sit down with the Director of Emergency Management of Sebastian County to speak more about how they're keeping the community safe in the wake of disasters. The time now, 8:36. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Each and every morning, we are looking for that elevated barista-style coffee. Well, you want that at home without breaking the bank? Teespressa has your solution. These drink beverage kits are so cute. They make the perfect gifts, and you get the choice. You can do your coffee and tea set, you have your mimosa set, and then of course your martini set. I absolutely love these because not only are they made with really great ingredients, they taste.
5 News This Morning is sponsored by Indigo Sky Casino, Jerry Neal's Barbecue, and Tucker's Furniture.
Mad Money Mania, Friday 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Play for your chance to win up to $10,000 cash at your premier gaming destination, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. All month long, play for your chance to win over $1 million in total cash and gold rewards prizes. Enjoy chef-created entrees at Shawano Steak and Spirits Fine Dining, ice-cold adult beverages and live weekend entertainment, and luxurious hotel suites. Experience the Indigo difference. Highway 60 west of Seneca, Missouri. IndigoSkyCasino.com for details.
Jerry Neal's Barbecue has been a Fort Smith favorite since 1977, and now we've made it faster, easier, and more rewarding when you download the Jerry Neal's app and order ahead in just a few taps. From slow-smoked ribs to fresh catfish and all your favorite sides, your next meal is ready when you are. Plus, earn rewards points and unlock exclusive app-only offers and special deals. Skip the line, earn rewards toward free food, and get great barbecue. Download the Jerry Neal's app today.
Tucker's Appliance in Springdale is your appliance superstore. If you want appliances, we've got them. Sleek, modern appliances from top brands you know. You want scratch and dents? They're back. You want refrigerators and ranges? We've got them. You want dishwashers? We've got them. You want washers and dryers? We've got them. And if you don't mind a few scratches here or a few dents there, you can save a whole lot. Tucker's, your appliance superstore in Springdale. When it's appliance time, it's Tucker time.
Welcome back. Well, we are joined here by Lee Mackey, partner and president at Mach 1 Financial. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
You bet. Glad to be here.
All right, so we are talking, if you missed the last half hour, we're talking about estate planning, everything centered around that. And for those maybe who didn't watch that, what exactly is estate planning?
You know, estate planning is, planning for your estate. It includes wills, trust, powers of attorney for health care, for financial reasons. One thing I didn't mention earlier, it also includes advanced directives, which are the living wills as well.
Absolutely. The living wills. Talk a little bit. What is that?
A living will is essentially, that those decisions that you make at the time of death. Do you want to be kept alive by artificial means? Do you want fluids? Do you want hydration? Do you want to be kept alive past the time when oftentimes the doctors have determined that, it was time to go?
Gotcha.
And there's a lot of thought and planning that goes into estate planning. So where do people start? What do they need? What are the things they need to think about?
That's a good question. You need to start now. Okay. There's really not an age, based. Oftentimes a misconception is, well, I need to have X amount of dollars, or I need to be close to retirement. Well, in fact, if you own assets, if you've got retirement accounts, if you've got children, then you need to do estate planning and start with the basics. Put a will in place. If you've got assets, you might want to look at a revocable living trust, which would allow you to avoid probate. If you've got children, it's imperative that you put together a plan, because then you're determining, you're making the decision of who's going to care for your minor children, not the court.
Absolutely. And can we ask, that question of everybody always says, if you write a will on a napkin or a piece of paper, is that a binding document or something like that?
It depends on what state you live in.
Okay.
Most of our viewers are in Arkansas, and Arkansas does allow holographic wills. That's what a handwritten note essentially is called, a holographic will. Arkansas allows it with certain conditions. Those are, you have to prove that that there was testamentary intent, that the person that was writing it intended it for it to be their will. You have to be able to prove that it's their handwriting. And so, yes, they are allowable. I've heard it compared this way. If you're building a house with just a hammer and no blueprint, you may get into the house, but you may not like what you have once you're in there. It may be a legal and valid will, but you're going to create probably more problems down the road. I mean, you're going to go to court to try to prove that it was in fact a will. I mean, if somebody was left out, they have a good chance to contest it and to fight it and to say, well, Uncle Joe or mom or dad didn't really mean that, because they were just scribbling it on a piece of paper.
Right.
So it can oftentimes create more problems than being helpful.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so the best is to not do it last minute on a napkin. Plan ahead.
Do it well before you think you need it. Absolutely.
And when it comes to people having those documents done, signed, what do we do from there? Who needs to keep those? Where do we put them?
Keep them in a safe place. If you have a fireproof container at the house, a fireproof safe, keep it at your bank, safety deposit box. Oftentimes the attorneys will keep copies. Us at Mach 1, we keep them in our client files electronically, because we're dealing with all sorts of planning with regard to our clients. And so we keep it. We want to know. Oftentimes we are involved with a lot of that estate planning. And so it just makes sense for the professionals in your life to have that. Maybe not your children, but if they're named as executor or trustee, oftentimes you may even include them in having a copy.
Gotcha. And let's talk about what are some misconceptions about estate planning and wills.
And I mentioned that before, and oftentimes it is, well, I'm not old enough to have a will or a trust, or I don't have enough money. But as I said before, I mean, if you own property in the state of Arkansas, if you own a house, I mean, if you've got a retirement account, if you have children, you need to start. If you're over 18, you have to be over 18 to sign a contract in the state of Arkansas. So most people are, but start early. And the nice thing about it is, as life changes, so can your documents. What we're putting in place is not set in stone and forever forgotten. I recommend to everybody that we work with, every 18 months or so, pull it out, make sure things are the way that they still should be. If you've had a life event, if you've had a marriage, a divorce, a death, a move to a new state, you should review those documents and see if they're still effective and still make sense.
Well, I really liked what you said earlier, the difference between a will and a trust. A will basically has to go through probate, through the court system. It's public. A trust is more private and sort of it is what it is. But why then would anybody choose a will over a trust? Is it the cost to put it in place?
Oftentimes it is. Oftentimes it is that if you don't own a lot of assets, sometimes a will can be okay. Arkansas has a small estate exemption to where if you have assets less than $100,000, you can, at the death, the executor can essentially fill out a form, give it to the judge and say, this person died with less than $100,000. The judge will sign off as a small estate and you can avoid probate. So there are reasons like cost that come into that. But, if you've got assets at all, if you've got a family, trust oftentimes make the most sense. A revocable living trust.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here with us today. Thank you for
Hope it's been helpful.
asking. Yes, absolutely. So it's time. Danny, it's time to get started. If you haven't started, just get it done. It's a peace of mind.
Yeah, that's true. It is peace of mind. And yeah, even for a young fellow, I think I'm young.
You're not going anywhere soon.
No, I'd hope not. But like you said, always good to have that and like peace of mind just in case, the worst happens. But we're not going to think about that. We're going to think about, for today, some nicer weather, or, well, relatively speaking. It's not going to be too bad out there, and a lot quieter than it was yesterday. A live look along I-40 at Highway 59 in Van Buren. Quiet here, overcast, and we're going to keep that overcast sky for much of the day today, but storm chances are going to be much less likely today than it was yesterday, at least during the day. But yesterday we did have that tornado in Ozark, and the National Weather Service surveyed the damage yesterday. An EF1 tornado, meaning a max wind up to 105 miles per hour. The path was about 3.3 miles long. It started on the west end of town at 6:16 a.m., crossed Highway 64, moved through kind of that woodland neighborhood area, then dipped a little bit southeast over the Arkansas River, crossed Highway 23, and then dissipated on the east end of, or south end of town, I should say, at about 6:24. Now the max width is 400 yards, which is roughly at about a quarter of a mile, so a pretty decent tornado. But again, thankfully no one was hurt. There was quite a bit of damage in some areas. Now right now you can see pretty quiet. A few spotty showers in far southern Leflore County, and it's mostly staying off to our south and to our west along this cold front and really along this boundary. And you can see these storms kind of forming off the eastern Rockies. This is for two reasons. One, some warm air is kind of lifting some energy in place to kind of trigger these storms. And eventually, as this front moves a little bit farther northeast, these storms are going to move a little bit closer to us as we get into later tonight, into the day tomorrow. And these are all going to be fueled by this jet stream. This jet stream in the upper part of the atmosphere is flowing a little bit from northwest to southeast. Whenever you're in northwest flow, you sometimes kind of get these little kinks of energy, and you just need just a few ripples combined with that boundary below to get sent your direction. This is fairly common in the summer because that jet stream usually lifts farther north. So while the energy isn't the greatest here, you still get enough that you get kind of these rounds of storms moving to the southeast. And it also can be a little bit hard to pin down exactly the time frame because you have to see how storms react initially off the Rockies, how far it moves southeast. Once that jet stream moves farther north for later this weekend, we dry out, but this heat is going to replace it from the southwest. So it's going to get very hot. And not only is it going to be humid for us for the next few days to feed for storm chances, but also into the weekend. Dew points remain in the mid-70s. So unfortunately, we don't have any massive cold front moving in. It's going to stay humid for quite some time. So we'll show you the storm chance on Futurecast. Again, this morning, fairly dry, but a few isolated storms are possible, especially for areas farther south and west. As we head to the afternoon, we could see a few more isolated scattered storms, I think mainly in the River Valley, but some in northwest Arkansas as well. Now, this is new data coming in. Again, as I mentioned, the timing can be a little bit hit or miss, but now it looks like storm chances move in a little bit through the overnight hours into early Wednesday morning. I do think that line as it moves in will weaken a little bit, but it could provide some heavy rainfall, maybe some gusty winds for early Wednesday morning. Now it looks like that since it moves through early during the morning, the rest of the day could just be kind of some hit or miss showers and storms. So this is, again, a system that we're going to be continuing to keep a close eye on as it moves in from the northwest later tonight. Rain chances for us do continue for Thursday and Friday, but I think it'll be a little bit more northern geared as that jet stream continues to push north. And then as we head into the weekend, we do see it dry out, but oh boy, do we see it heat up. High temperatures climbing into the upper 80s for Saturday, 90 around Sunday and Monday. And while that's not necessarily the hottest air we've ever seen, we are going to be seeing the humidity stick around. So you combine that feels like close to 100 on Saturday and Sunday, northwest Arkansas, as well as Monday. For the River Valley, I think it'll exceed 105 as early as Saturday, if not Sunday and especially Monday. And it could feel like 100 as early as Thursday in the River Valley. So we'll be watching those storm chances, especially I think late tonight into the day tomorrow, and then kind of on and off through Thursday and Friday. But for the River Valley, it does look a little bit less likely because they'll be a little bit farther north. All right, now we'll do the latest edition of Town Hall Talks. Sitting here with Lauren and Claire.
Welcome into this edition of Town Hall Talks. Today we are joined by Sebastian County Emergency Management Director Travis Cooper. Travis, thank you so much for joining us here.
You bet. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for making the trek up all the way from Sebastian County. I think a lot of residents are wondering, we're heading into that severe weather season. We even saw a couple tornadoes this past week in our area and across the Midwest right now. So what are some common mistakes you would say that people make during tornado season when it comes to safety?
You know, when we identify seasons throughout the year, we also identify certain threats or hazards throughout the year. A lot of times, even us as emergency responders sometimes would become complacent. And so most common things that might be considered a hiccup or a mistake would be that complacency of not knowing what the day looks like, not knowing what the weather is going to be during severe weather. If you don't have the notification and you're not being informed and staying informed, that's where we find mistakes happening.
Definitely important. How much would you say has emergency management changed in the last 5 to 10 years? What's evolving these days?
So one of the aspects of emergency planning and just the overall components of emergency management, I've seen it more and more here, especially in the River Valley and Northwest Arkansas, of more of your businesses and nonprofit groups, especially within healthcare, have integrated into having more emergency planning to be a part of their roles and responsibilities. We also identify that a lot of your public schools now have some school resource officers or even in-school police departments. And so that has integrated more into emergency planning and readiness and response as well.
How are people in Sebastian County receiving these emergency alerts? And should people be signing up for maybe different websites or apps? Tell me about that.
So one of the things that we have with emergency alerts and notification systems is that we now have our devices that have multiple apps, multiple opportunities to actually alert you in the middle of the night. We have a mass notification system that we've used for a number of years called HyperReach. We're actually working with the city of Fort Smith very heavily and with our River Valley Communications Center in creating something with Everbridge. That's another platform that we're going to be looking at, which a lot of companies, a lot of agencies, and a lot of communities also use that same platform. And so we're looking to merge to that this coming summer and fall. And so we'll be stay tuned to having information on our website and more information on how to sign up for mass notification systems. If you were to go to our website at sebastiancountyar.gov, right now you will find ways to sign up for our HyperReach mass notification system now.
Thank you so much, Travis, for being here today.
Yeah, if you want to see the full version of our interview, you can visit our website, 5newsonline.com. And of course, we'll see you next time on Town Hall Talks.
Five News This Morning is sponsored by Indigo Sky Casino, Jerry Neal's Barbecue, and Tucker's Furniture.
Mad Money Mania, Friday, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Play for your chance to win up to $10,000 cash at your premier gaming destination, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. All month long, play for your chance to win over $1 million in total cash and gold rewards prizes. Enjoy chef-created entrees at Shawano Steak and Spirits Fine Dining, ice-cold adult beverages and live weekend entertainment, and luxurious hotel suites. Experience the Indigo difference. Highway 60 west of Seneca, Missouri. IndigoSkyCasino.com for details.
Jerry Neal's Barbecue has been a Fort Smith favorite since 1977, and now we've made it faster, easier, and more rewarding when you download the Jerry Neal's app and order ahead in just a few taps. From slow-smoked ribs to fresh catfish and all your favorite sides, your next meal is ready when you are. Plus, earn rewards points and unlock exclusive app-only offers and special deals. Skip the line, earn rewards toward free food, and get great barbecue. Download the Jerry Neal's app today.
Tucker's Appliance in Springdale is your appliance superstore. If you want appliances, we've got them. Sleek, modern appliances from top brands you know. You want scratch and dents? They're back. You want refrigerators and ranges? We've got them. You want dishwashers? We've got them. You want washers and dryers? We've got them. And if you don't mind a few scratches here or a few dents there, you can save a whole lot. Tucker's, your appliance superstore in Springdale. When it's appliance time, it's Tucker time.
Well, a group is helping homeowners impacted by severe weather in Franklin County following the National Weather Service confirming an One tornado for Monday morning. Now, Lions International set up a trailer filled with essential supplies. The Red Cross is also helping families who have been displaced by the storm. Well, the city of Fayetteville is looking to transform a section of Joyce Boulevard using part of a $25 million federal grant. The stretch of road has been identified as a high injury network corridor. Proposed changes include adding some roundabouts at key intersections and adding more sidewalks and crosswalks, also raised medians. City leaders say this section is the first phase of a larger project. Construction is expected to begin next year. It's 8:56 this morning, a live look in Fort Smith. Hope you're off to a great start. Let's check in with Danny for traffic and weather. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Joe. Good morning, everyone out there. Thankfully, a much quieter start to our Tuesday, but we are going to see some chances of storms continue, especially later tonight into early Wednesday. Show you what this looks like on Futurecast. Later today, a few spotty showers and storms, especially farther west later this morning, but the better chance, is going to come later this afternoon into the early evening. Kind of hit or miss in nature, but could see some heavy rainfall at times. Now, there is some new data coming in that's suggesting now storms are coming a little bit earlier. And as I mentioned, when you have northwest flow, these storms can be tough to pin down the exact timing. But I do expect roughly after midnight tonight into early Wednesday morning, we're going to see some sort of complex move through. And as it does, maybe could see some heavy rainfall, or I think we are going to expect heavy rainfall, but maybe some gusty winds as well. I'm not expecting widespread severe weather at the moment because it is weakening a little bit as it approaches, but some heavy rainfall definitely a possibility. Now it looks like mainly for the morning commute, it looks dry, and then for the rest of our Wednesday, maybe just kind of more hit or miss showers and a few rumbles of thunder. So again, this is a constantly evolving system. We'll be watching this as it goes further, but as we get closer, hopefully this stays because it will keep it mainly overnight, and then that way for things like Rodeo the Ozarks and Springdale tomorrow for the parade, it can be dry. So we'll continue to keep you updated on that rain timeline. In terms of the rest of the week, we will be seeing storm chances continue, I think, late Wednesday into early Thursday, mainly, though, for northwest Arkansas. Friday, the same thing, mainly going to be in northwest Arkansas. And then Saturday, we dry out. Sunday and Monday, it does look to dry completely, but the heat and humidity will be on. Today, not too bad, though. Upper 70s and low 80s in northwest Arkansas, low to mid 80s in the River Valley. That's because that cloud cover is going to keep things a little bit cooler than normal. And although humid, with the temperatures not too bad, it won't be as much of an impact. So again, keep an eye on those rain chances, especially for later tonight. In the meantime, enjoy a much quieter Tuesday.
It's no secret excessive sun exposure can lead to premature aging and skin cancer. But for years, the only sunscreen options to block these dangerous rays carried concerns over chemicals or a white cast on the skin. But soon, there will be a new choice in the U.S. thanks to this order from the FDA.
Many dermatologists are going to recommend it.
Dr. Deborah Sarnoff, president of the Skin Cancer Foundation, is already poised to advise patients to shift to the new sunscreen ingredient called Bemotrizonal, or BEMT, when it hits the market. While current U.S. sunscreens excel at blocking radiation that leads to visible sunburns, critics say they routinely fail to shield against deep penetrating ultraviolet A rays, or UVAs. But Sarnoff says BEMT provides that adequate protection and isn't easily absorbed into the skin.
The thing about this ingredient is it's been around in Europe since the year 2000, so we have a long history on it.
Sarnoff says it protects without the white streaks traditional U.S. sunscreens leave behind, and it's good for those who have poor reactions to other chemicals or people with sensitive skin. It'll need to be applied just like other sunscreens, 15 to 20 minutes before sun exposure, and then reapplied every 2 hours and after swimming or sweating.
We really feel that this is going to save lives because people are going to use the sunscreen that they like, that feels good, smells good, and that's cosmetically elegant.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
All right, if it smells good, that's one of the big things.
That's the best. I have noticed the rub-on ones, you don't get burned as easy. They're just a hassle, aren't
I know. Yeah, but you would prefer like the spray?
It's easy when you're like laying out somewhere and you can just.
Yeah, but I just don't feel like I get protected enough. I gotta rub it in.
When you get the streaks of the sunburns, right? Because it missed a spot.
All right, it is 9 a.m. We hope you have a great Tuesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.